What if Galvantula was in Gen 1 OU? Hello everybody, and I have returned after a little bit more than half a week. I was mostly just doing a lot of resting, but I am back. The last video I did was the Season 1 finale of Generation Jumble, which you should definitely see. I have the entire playlist. The finale was pretty cool with grand finals, but pretty much a lot of the matches was really cool. I would highly recommend just watching all of this, or not all of this, just any matches that you might find interesting. But Generation Jumble Season 1 was a lot of fun, and I think the tournament was a big success, regardless of me having that big gap where nothing was going on. But Season 2 will be a lot different. Speaking of Season 2, this little guy right here, Galvantula, will be a part of it, because the entire theme for Season 2 will be buffing the 4 weakest types in Gen 1 OU. That being Fighting type, the Bug type, Poison type, and Dragon type. Maybe Dragon you might disagree with, because Dragonite is literally underused. But I feel like Dragonite kinda hates being a Dragon type. If you actually just look at the type individually, it's not that good. But that's regardless of the point. Galvantula is gonna be there. And I already have Goodra and Sneasel gonna join, which I already have videos on those ones. I'll talk more about it at the end of the video, but for now, Galvantula. He is literally one of my favorite Pokemon of all time. By far my favorite sticky web user, and he's just an adorable little guy just all around. Just look at him. Look at him. He's look at his cute little eyes. He's my son. I watch out for him. Like one of my own, really. And he would be interesting in Gen 1, because obviously for each of the Pokemon of the respective types I want to add, I want to make sure that their type is actually a big benefit to them, and it needs to actually it needs to actually do something or not get overshadowed. I'll just give you a spoiler. People in my server have been requesting Drapion, so I'm also going to do Drapion. However, Drapion will not be in Generation Jumble Season 2, and that's because the Dark type would completely overshadow the Poison type. That is not the case here for Gen 1 with Galvantula, because the Bug type is actually a pretty good defensive type in Gen 1. The issue is just that there's no good Bug Pokemon. But luckily for Galvantula over here, that Bug typing, well, the main reason you want it is because it is a very valuable ground immunity. Or not immunity, I mean resistance. So Galvantula is actually an electric type that takes Earthquake neutrally, which you might argue in the grand scheme of things doesn't really matter too much, because Rhydon is just still gonna hurt a lot, and you can't really hurt it back. And also, Tauros probably kills you. But I still think it's neat to have. At the very least, you can switch on something. Not to mention, there's always going to be, other Pokemon that, might have Earthquake. Just overall, I just think it's an electric type that doesn't have a ground weakness. And that's, one of the things about electric type. It literally only has the one weakness. So, it's essentially just a better Bug type in many ways. Not to mention the electric type helps the Bug type too. Obviously, resisting Thunderbolt, that's pretty big. Not to mention being able to do super effective damage against Cloyster, Starmie, and Swellow. That's also kind of huge. And what else about its typing? I feel like there's something else. Oh yeah, that's right. It's also an electric type that can actually, face Zapdos. No one near as good as, Jolteon. But Galvantula is sort of in a nice middle ground, because it has, the stats where, admittedly, nothing seems, too busted. And that's because they're not. Everything here is pretty good for Gen 1 standards. Maybe a little frail, but it can actually hit decently hard on both the physical and special side. And that's mostly because of its move pool. 108 speed is good. It means it outspeeds Zapdos. but I don't think he outspeed anything that, like, Zapdos is already outspeed. And 108 means that you're just barely slower than Tauros and Gengar, which, as you can imagine, is huge. But luckily, along with having the bug typing, another thing that sets Galvantula apart from other electric types is its physical move, which, let's look for it, it's at the bottom here. It is Slash. And yeah, with 108 speed, it definitely gets auto crits. I can't think of another electric type that has Slash. And as you can imagine, this is a pretty big deal. The other moves are pretty, like, standard. You got, like, Thunderbolt, Thunder Wave. And then the last slot can either be Hyper Beam, which I didn't bother doing the damage calcs, but seeing how much Slash the Chansey, I'm just going to assume is not really worth it. So your last move is going to be Light Screen. And having a permanent Light Screen for Galvantula, I would argue is pretty good. Because it's pretty, like, decent thing to have for your Starmie and especially Alakazam matchup. It's not going to save you all the time, but it's definitely going to be annoying. And helps you put up a slightly better fight against the Psychic types. Bonus points that sense for, like, or even with Chansey, if it's Bolt Beam Chansey, or if it's just like a Chansey with only Ice Beam, Light Screen helps you do tremendously better. And you outspeed Jinx, Cloyster, Slowbro, a lot of the, stuff like that. So Light Screen just, like, it's nice, like, I forget what that saying's called, just, it just makes life easier for Galvantula. Won't save you all the time, but it's nice. However, Galvantula does kind of struggle from not hitting as hard as both Zapdos and Jolteon. And that's the weird thing. Like, just comparing it to Jolteon, it's just like, it's just weird to me because on paper, like, Galvantula should have more, because Jolteon would only have, like, Thunderbolt and Double Kick. So you would think Light Screen and Slash would just be better. But because of just how, like, custom games works, Jolteon is actually much bulkier, especially. Oh wait, no. Even if you ignore just the physical special split, or not physical special split, the special attack, special defense, Jolteon's just tankier, especially either way. But that is awkward. Not to mention Jolteon's a lot faster. Like I said, you're always faster than Zapdos, it's not a big deal. But between Double Kick and Slash, does Jolteon technically have more coverage? I do not know. Like, I guess unlike Jolteon, like, Slash always gets a crit. So I guess Galvantula is better in that sense. Not to mention it has, like, a higher attack. Not a lot in the grand scheme of things, but, every little thing helps. So it's weird. I don't really know which one's better. Even though Galvantula on paper has more, I kind of feel like I would rather go with Jolteon in all honesty. Because at least then, like, Jolteon raises both of Zapdos' stab, and not just one of them. But that's just my opinion. You can let me know what you think in the comments. At the very least, Galvantula absolutely dominates 1v1 because it resists Double Kick. And bam! Another reason why Galvantula's bug typing will be good, because with Season 2 of Generation Jumble, we'll be adding fighting types, and while I don't think we'll be adding any with any good signature moves, at the very least, low kick, a double kick, a high jump kick, you'll probably see those a lot more, so that makes Galvantula just a little bit better. In terms of Generation Jumble, we'll see how good it does, but for now, let's just look at some of the replays to see how it does against just regular Gen 1 OU. I apologize if I'm talking too fast. Starting off with Tauros, it's a match you can technically win with paralysis or more likely crits, because obviously with 108 speed, it has like an amazing crit rate. But for the most part, I would just say Tauros is a very bad matchup. In fact, it's gonna be a very common theme. Like, Snorlax is not much better. Snorlax with just a single body slam and Hyper Beam can kill you. And then you also have like freaking like Amnesia Wax or Reflect Wax, which There's not a single Snorlax variant that you can really beat. And unfortunately, with Chansey, you have Slash, but the big issue is just that you don't have Stab or High Attack in the first place. So Slash, it does decent damage. Like, there's no doubt about it. It definitely, you definitely could win some matchups against Chansey, but I think it's more so in Chansey's favor because of just healing, and with Seismic Toss, it can just outdamage you. Now that I'm looking at the replay again, maybe it could go either way, but I feel like both Chansey and Tauros are bad matchups, but for very opposite reasons. I feel like Tauros is a bad matchup, but it's almost borderline could go either way. But like way more in Tauros' favor. And I feel like it's the opposite for Chansey, where it's bad matchup, borderline could go either way, but more so in Galvantula's favor. I'm not sure exactly. You guys are going to let me know what you think in the comments. But we also have Alakazam. And Widescreen is pretty good here. You probably should paralyze it too, even though Alakazam is, faster anyways. And that is like one thing that kind of makes me feel like this is more so Alakazam's favor. Ignoring that crits will just like annihilate you completely. Galvantula kind of needs Alakazam to be paralyzed and have Widescreen up in order to like, or I guess technically it doesn't, but it's good safety precautions, even though you'll probably get crit either way. Still, what could go either way, because like, how much did Slash do again? Slash did like almost half. That's honestly not that bad, if we're being completely honest here. Now, Cloyster. No one's gonna be surprised to see how this match goes, but I do think it's hilarious that Galvantula almost gets killed because Clamp got a crit and I think hit 3 times. That is, I mean, it's funny, but at the same time, like, you're not beating the worst than Jolteon allegations. I'm gonna be real with you. Which makes me sad. Even though I like Jolteon and Galvantula a lot, both are honestly probably my favorite electric types of all time. And I really do not want to have to choose between either one of them. Also, Executors here. Executors is an unwinnable matchup. I did not bother to check if this thing has Pin Missile or not. Because if you are in my server, you know there is a running gag where I just hate every single thing that has Pin Missile and refuse to acknowledge its existence. Spoiler alert, even with your impressive base 77 attack, Pin Missile is probably a very garbage move that you're not going to use, and Executor probably wins the 1v1 either way. So, yeah. Exastrally, if you're watching this, you can, like, give me a damage calc on, like, how much Pin Missile does, but, like, I'd be lying if I said I cared. Alright. Oh, yeah, you should also join the Discord server, by the way. That's where we have the Generation Jumbo tournaments, that we just hang out a lot, we talk, we do a lot of theory crafting with Pokemon, have VCs and play other games. So just join the generation, or yeah, you should join the Generation Jumble, but just join the server in general. It's a lot of fun. Alright, and next off, Gengar. I think this one's funny, because even though Gengar's faster and has sleep, I would say this is probably a good matchup for Galvantula, because if the Galvantula paralyzed the Gengar, or has a light screen up, I feel like it already kinda won, even if it gets KO'd. Because like, what does Gengar really do after this? Like, your Gengar is pretty much just dead weight, and now what it really do is fight Galvantula of all things? That is pretty funny. But yeah, like, I wish there was more to say, but it's a weird matchup, I guess. And then with you being faster than Jinx and having light screen, I feel like maybe you can win this. And like, you probably do in a lot of cases. It's definitely a could go either way, but it's a very weird one where I'm not even sure what the point of it all is. Like, obviously with Slash, you just do very big damage. And even Thunderbolt doesn't do that much. or doesn't do that much less than, Slash. But Jinx can crit, it can, get special drops, freeze you, put you to sleep. So, maybe Galvantula got lucky in this replay, maybe Jinx wins most of the time, but it's mostly whatever. Also, Galvantula versus Rhydon. Anyway, let's move on now. And going on to Starmie versus Galvantula, which is a little bit more fair. But, it's still freaking Starmie. It crits, it paralyzes, it recovers. It is definitely not a one-sided matchup against Starmie. And also, considering Galvantula with its 108 speed is slower than Starmie, it actually means that this is the only electric type where Starmie has a pretty good chance of winning. It's not like the other two where they outspeed and just completely annihilate Starmie. So, it kind of does really make you question why you're using Galvantula in the first place. Because honestly, now that I'm looking at these again, I do think Jolteon is just better. Which makes me sad to say. It's not like Galvantula is completely useless. It definitely has its own merits. But with this final replay with Zapdos, it's last but not the least, because you got people using like Electrode or Magneton, or like one person using both exactly. But obviously Galvantula is a lot better than the other electric types, even Electabuzz or stuff. And I do think Galvantula at the very least would probably be very, very, very good and underused. But I don't know, I'm just not really feeling just OU. You can let me know what you think. Here we have the tier list. And this is, honestly, I can't tell if this is more good and bad. At the very least, with its great matchups, it, really does, just completely, stop them, other than, maybe Cloyster with a critical clamp. But, I don't know. This one, I'm very mixed on it. At the very least, it will be very much a lot better for Generation Jumble than actual Gen 1. But that's because you're going to be having, more fighting types, bug types, stuff like that. And all of them are going to be pretty relevant. But even then, I honestly feel like Jolteon and Zapdos will probably end up being better still. But hey, if it ends up buffing the bug type, then that's a win in of itself. So these are the Pokemon that I already got to have for Season 2. Already did videos for both Goodra and Sneasler, so you should go check those out. In fact, I'm pretty sure my Sneasler video is my most viewed video of all time, if I remember correctly. So, yeah. I don't know when Season 2 is actually going to premiere. I want at least 4 Pokemon for all of the types. So expect a lot more videos for poison types, probably 3 dragon types, or 2. Because I think I'm considering Salamence, even though it probably wouldn't be that good. And I don't know. I have some other bug types and poison types and whatnot, etc. I've covered. So just if there's any I've already done that you think would be good for Season 2, let me know. But my 2 main rules: no Mega Evolutions, so don't expect Mega Beedrill to be there. And also no make sure the type doesn't overshadow or gets overshadowed by another type. So let's say I did I'm trying to think about okay, I did Lucario, but Lucario would probably be overshadowed by Steel type, so don't suggest that. But I think that's everything. So it's good to be back. It really is. Thank you all for watching. This is Groundback, and I look forward to hearing from you. Also join the server. Yeah, I think I already said that, but you should definitely do that, right now.